So, let me introduce myself. Richard Wright. I'm part of the AI Factory team here at NVIDIA, and what I want to do is spend a couple of minutes this evening speaking to you a little bit and building really upon the points that you've just made there around the experiences, because I think you summed it up really, really critically. The key point that we're looking to achieve for all of you as organisations are, how can you enable AI within your organisation, for your users, for your customers, etc., the most effectively as possible, okay? And that's not reinventing the wheel in terms of building that structure. It's focusing upon the value and the unique and the IP that you have within your organisation and that skill set, okay? And, you know, we're in a really interesting progression that we've seen, and you touched upon it as well. The fact is, GPU technology, you're using it, it's here, okay? It is, we can only deliver the experiences, the scale, the solutions, the type of engagement that your users, your customers are now demanding and expecting for using this fantastic accelerated compute platform itself. Because we're going to look at, it's more than maybe just the GPU, and you touched upon that as well yourselves here earlier on. And why is that? All of you have gone through or are going through this phase in terms of AI development has evolved, and we talk about these three scaling laws. We've moved from training to relatively straightforward AI agents, call, retrieve, okay, to building out post-training scaling type solutions where you're refining those with access to your own custom data, to specific parts of data, and you're building more refined models to that. To this model now today where we're building agentic models that have the ability to think, to learn, to reason, critically as well to interact, maybe with other agents within your organisation, other agents external of your organisation as well, to automate that. As we've gone through that progression, the quantity of data that organisations need to consider, as mentioned earlier on, has exponentially grown. Okay, and it's great to have VAST join us as well. They're going to speak a little bit about the data solution as well, because accessing that data, the portability, be able to utilise that data is critical. The more data you can bring to these agents and these models, the quicker you can iterate, the better the solutions and the workloads you can deliver. Okay. And to enable that and deliver that, we've seen this evolution of the data center that we've touched upon, okay? To this point today where organizations are now looking at how do they build out what we term as AI factories. These are platforms that can deliver data at scale. And when we say data at scale, factories, like any factory, reflects the particular size of that organization. But you touched upon some of the key points there earlier on. It's around having scalability and growth as well, and consistency across that environment. Okay, because consistency is really, really key. We measure this within tokens. What we're achieving, what we're looking to enable you to do is generate tokens at the scale your organisation needs to generate them consistently, okay, and in the most cost-effective and the most efficient and sustainable way. Because for all organisations as well today, efficiency and sustainability is a key aspect of consideration. So we see the attraction of building out these AI factory solutions. Centralized AI compute platforms can manage multiple workloads, okay, across your environment, can deal with the scale within your environment, respond to your users, etc. demands. But building them is not necessarily straightforward, okay. You need to design. These are complex buildings to design, as we touched upon earlier on, complex deployments. You need to deploy them, okay? Customize them, alter them in some instances, as you discussed there, for your specific need. And critically as well, as you mentioned, it's about it having commercial benefit, operational benefit for your organisation. The time to value on that platform is critical for you, okay? And that's what has led us at NVIDIA to go through the journey we've been on in terms of how do we define and build out these solutions themselves. Okay. Now, to take a step back, more than 10 years ago when we began this journey of building out AI-optimized compute platforms, okay, our first compute platforms were orientated toward training, okay? And we had to deal with the concept of how do we build a purpose-built accelerated AI solution, okay, for training purposes that enables large workloads, as they were then, to scale across multiple GPUs and provide the system around that. Okay, and we built that solution ourselves, we defined that, and we worked with a partner community so they were able to then take that solution itself and then iterate that themselves, deploy that. Very quickly, the acceleration on that, went through the roof. We went from having organizations build out small kind of 1, 2 single node type of solutions for training to needing to build out multi-node solutions, hundreds of nodes, even thousands of nodes, okay? And throughout that journey, we've had to develop the portfolio and the technologies in order to enable that, okay? And for all of you in the room, as you're building out these solutions within your organization themselves, you can see from a physical perspective as well, there's a whole range of different components that come into that solution, okay? I talked about the design complexity earlier on, being the key point of it, okay? This is it. Any organization building a factory today, building AI at scale, you're faced with the challenge. How do we build out this solution itself? How do we build around the sheer volume of components there are and options there are across our platform, okay? And that's just from a physical perspective. At NVIDIA, we've done that from the ground up in terms of having to go through that journey of understanding from the GPU, how do we accelerate multiple GPUs, and then how do we work around networking, okay? Because to that key point, data is critical, serving that into that GPU and that compute platform, okay? How do we make sure that we have the capacity and the bandwidth for you to be able to bring in those large quantities of data that you now want to bring to serve into these agentic models that you're building within your organization? So we've had to build the technologies around that themselves as well. And in doing so, we've aimed to do that in a really sustainable way as well, in terms of how can we make these platforms efficient in terms of the workload and the bandwidth and the result you're able to deliver from them. And you touched upon some of the results from your environment, okay? But again, we've built out a range of portfolio of technologies around this, okay? But I think there's one thing to consider as well, that's from a physical perspective. There's also the point around the software perspective as well around that, okay? Because again, building these solutions is an end-to-end solution stack that we need to deliver, that your organization needs, okay? So it's not just at the physical level in terms of the physical compute, the GPU and the networking now. It's also we need to consider as well, how do you build out and accelerate the workloads and the models that you're deploying upon your environment themselves? How do you orchestrate those workloads and those models as well? Because as you build out across this multiple workload, flexible, really scalable AI factory platform, okay, where you have multiple workloads that you'll want to switch on and switch off and turn up and turn down based upon the works and the requirements within your organization, how do you have an environment that enables you to do that at a granular level, and also as well automate that as well, okay? So again, that goes to the point around NVIDIA's real unique has been we've built out this whole end-to-end stack around their AI factory proposition that is everything that an organization requires in order to deploy these solutions. And the key part I want you to take away from that is a stack that is scalable based upon your needs. You can begin that journey in a relatively modest size, but it's a platform that enables you to build and scale as your environment grows. Because the quicker we can help you get your models to production and the quicker we can help you iterate those models and get them out to their users, the more successful you'll be in terms of the engagement around those models, the better experience, the more data you will pull in and refine from those models into that flywheel, the more and more the demand will be upon the platform, okay? And so you'll need to scale that up. So to do that, we have built out this end-to-end solution and talked about this earlier on in terms of the AI factory blueprint that Boston work around. And Boston is one of our AI factory enabled partners, very much have the knowledge and work with us very closely around the definitions around these solutions, the knowledge around these solutions, and to the point you made earlier on, how to customize these solutions with the various workloads that are based upon specific industries that are required for your individual environment and need. Now that's great. I've spoken about these reference architectures. So, what are they really? Well, The key part, I'd say, is well, these reference architectures are literally public recipes. Okay, they are blueprints for any organisation to look at in terms of how they're able to deploy these within their business themselves today. Again, it goes to the point about giving you as an organisation the guidance, the confidence, the path in terms of how you're able to deploy this and realise this really quickly and effectively. The key point, again, goes to we can take away all of the pain, the complexity around defining the platform, okay, and working with partners, working with yourselves and your development teams. We can enable them to focus around the IP and the critical commercial advantage and deliverable you want to achieve within your business, okay. So the blueprint architectures that NVIDIA have built around AI factories are standard referenceable architectures that are scalable across multiple different usage cases and multiple different industries. We even have industry-aligned usage cases for certain markets. And that's really critical as well, because obviously a number of organisations as well, you're challenged with maybe regulation, data sensitivity, etc. So these are all critical parts that we consider within the definition of that environment. And then the key part of that as well is that we want and we enable those platforms to be portable for you. And when I say portable, what I mean by that is to give you the choice of how you consume them and choice of how you realise them. Because lots of organisations who say, you've begun your journey on cloud, okay? You will build into on-prem solutions, okay? Whether you define those solutions using a full NVIDIA stack or whether you work with one of our fantastic OEM partners, okay, the point is the recipe remains consistent throughout all of those environments, okay. It enables you as an organisation to have flexibility in terms of how do we realise this AI factory solution across our organisation. And as we grow, maybe we utilise other solutions like cloud to be able to burst up into that as well. But you have consistency across that environment, okay, across whichever option that you choose to deliver it in, and you're not tied into one option. You can portably move that solution over to another option as well as that delivers. So really I've taken a couple of minutes there, so hopefully sort of the key parts have come across. The AI factory proposition from NVIDIA is really based around enabling you to have the option, that recipe, to build the platform that you need within your environments that's suitable to your needs, okay? It's built to take away the complexity, to minimise the cost element of it, okay, and to give you the flexibility and the scale to reflect your particular organisation's need, okay? And you have the option of working with partners to customise that around some of the NIMS technology that we have around into some of the specific industry requirement that you have, okay? But critically, it is a consistent, proven, certified platform that you can rely upon, you can build upon. And in the times when time to market is key, your data science resource within your organisation is really critical, okay? It's a cost intensive. You want to focus them upon the IP, upon the critical data within your environment, how they can customise and build tools that bring real value to you, okay? This provides them that powerful platform that's certified and proven that they can base that development upon, gives them the tools and services, and you the control, the automation, the insight to be able to manage and administer those services and those platforms really efficiently and effectively. Now look, it's been fantastic. We've heard from Basecamp's example there. And look, I'll just pull a couple of these, and they were a bit of a mixed audience, but I would kind of pull out, these are public, you can look at them. I show them really just in terms of the fact that the certification this gives. These are proven platforms delivered at huge scale. Your organisation may not require that scale, but you will aspire to have a degree of that scale in your organisation. These are the platforms that give you the scalability to deliver that, okay? Whether you're in biopharma, and I know as well there's some organisations here from a manufacturing perspective, okay? The work we're doing in the manufacturing market as well, with organisations like BMW, with physical robotics, for instance, and how that's being landed, okay, and delivered. There's huge opportunity and capability that these platforms can open up, okay, within your organisation. And again, this is about giving you the platform, the capability to deliver this and realise this, and the security of doing so in a fully certified and supported mechanism with established partners who know this technology, like NVIDIA, like VAST, like Boston. Now, I've spoken for a couple of minutes, so forgive me for one last thing before I wrap up. Look, it's great to be able to join you all this evening. We have the opportunity to speak more after the presentations today. But let me just leave you with one thing. It is a quick plug, so thank you to the Boston team. Please join us. You will find out more, and you will also see some of the latest announcements in a couple of weeks' time. We have our Global GTC conference. You can join at the link there before. But thank you very much. Thank you for your time.